What's going on, guys? Welcome to Comp Tech, your home for reviews, tech talks, and unboxings with a whole lot more in between. My name's John. That's Toby over there. He's just kind of kicking it on the bed. Before I begin this video, I just wanted to start off by thanking each and every one of you for stopping by. This is a brand new channel, and this is the first video on that channel. So if you do like the content, be sure to like and subscribe down below. I really enjoy making these videos, and I hope you guys will enjoy them as well. And with that out of the way, let's hop into it. Now, for those of you guys who have your hands in the tech world about as much as I do, you guys have known that these 1070 and 1080 cards have been coming for a little while. Now, while both are a lot more powerful than originally expected by just about everybody, the specs really can prove why they are so good. Now, for the purposes of this video, though, I really am only going to be talking about the 1080 and how it relates to current kings of the market like the Titan X and the 980 Ti and even the 980 and SLI configuration. So again, I'm not going to be talking too much about the 1070, but I will leave a link down below for you guys if you want to check out some stats on that card in particular. So NVIDIA is moving away from their Maxwell-based GPUs in favor of their brand new Pascal architecture, which was first used last month on a new release, mainly meant for servers and such things. But as far as graphics cards for the general consumer in gaming go, these two cards, the 1080 and the 1070, will be the first to feature this new architecture, which is way more efficient, I might add. With the new 16 nanometer manufacturing process versus the 28 nanometer process in a Maxwell GPU, along with other computing improvements, this new architecture is going to be roughly twice as efficient as any Maxwell card you can get your hands on currently. While we're on the topic of efficiency, let's go ahead and talk about power consumption. The new 1080 is only going to draw 180 watts from your power supply, which is about 30% better than with a Titan X or 980 Ti, which use 250 watts. Compared to the 980, you're going to be using 15 more watts instead of 165. You're at that 180. However, like I said before, you're going to need at least two 980s just to even somewhat match a 1080 as far as performance goes. Now, with that said, also, you're only going to need a single 8-pin connector on your 1080. You're going to need an 8-pin and a 6-pin on your Titan and your 980 Ti like I have in my case, and you're going to need 4 6-pins if you're using 980 Ti in SLI configuration. So clearly the most efficient choice here is indeed the 1080. The new card will feature 8 GB of GDDR5X RAM at a speed of 2500 MHz, and because it is GDDR5, you're going to have an effective clock speed of 10 GHz. What? Well, either way, so this new type of RAM, the GDDR5X, is pretty well badass. It was developed at the end of last year. I forget by who it was developed, but I'll leave a link to more information about that down below. Now, basically what it does, it has a 64-bit wide memory access channel, which is twice as wide as what you'll get on normal GDDR5. So theoretically, if you have the same parts, you can get twice as much in the same space. Theoretically, of course, it doesn't always scale that well, but that is the point. You get more in a certain amount of space, and it can go faster as well, up to 16 gigabits per second, supposedly stably. We haven't seen that yet, at least I haven't, but we will see. We're kind of pushing the limits here. 10 gigabits per second effective memory clock on this card is ridiculous. That's up from 7 gigabits on the 980 Ti and the Titan X, and up a little bit more from the 980 Ti, although I don't know that exact number. Also new with this card, at least in the founder spec, I don't know 100% about just the standard versions of these two cards, but at least in the founder spec, and I'll get more onto what that means in a little bit, but at least in those specs, you're going to be getting a brand new shell design for your GPU. You can see the old one right here, just kind of a basic little design, that kind of like gunmetal and black color with the green Geforce logo on the side. Now, the new card is going to really reference that, no pun intended because it is a reference card, but it's going to reference that design and make something really, really cool out of it. So we're still going to have the same colors as you can see right here, along with the green Geforce logo, but you get this nice little kind of triangular angle design with it as well, which I think looks really, really cool. There are several new features on this 1080 as well, starting with asynchronous compute. That is something very, very cool and brand new with DirectX 12, which allows multiple processes to be done simultaneously, whereas in current GPUs like the Titan and especially the 980 Ti, you're going to have multiple processes done completely separately. So when one finishes, the other one has to finish before the process can complete. And in layman's terms, that just means you're going to have cores sitting idle while the other cores are going to be at load, and you're losing a lot of efficiency there. You're not only drawing power, but you're getting nothing done, so that's just wasted energy that you could use for something else. Now, with asynchronous compute, everything gets done simultaneously and together, so you don't have any cores sitting by idle. Very, very cool, and also another reason why this card is that much more efficient. The other feature I wanted to talk about is this thing called simultaneous multi-projection. Now, currently on NVIDIA GPUs, if you have a 3-monitor setup specifically, or an ultra-wide or a curved monitor as well, and you have them on a 3-monitor setup, if you have the monitors bent in like I do at about a 30-degree angle, is what I have, but if you haven't bent at all, you're going to get distortion in your games because your system only sees you as having one really wide flat panel monitor. Now, the way they fix this is they allow for multiple viewpoints. So when you're in a game and you're looking at your middle monitor, your guy is like looking out of his eyes if you're playing first person. So you're looking straight ahead. But then it'll re-render for the side monitors as well. So when you look over, it's like him looking over, and you should, theoretically anyway, be able to set the angles of your monitors and the distance from the center to you, so the game knows exactly where you're at and how much field of view you'll have. And on top of that, you'll be able to get rid of that distortion because it'll be rendered separately. iRacing and I'm sure a few other games. iRacing is the one I know about. Already has this implemented where you set the size of your monitor, the resolution, the angle to you, and the distance from the middle of the monitor to your face on all three. And then this will calculate the best FOV and other settings as well to eliminate distortion as best as possible and give you a really good Eyefinity setup. So the 1080 is going to feature a core clock of 1607 megahertz with a boost clock of 1733 megahertz, and that is a huge leap from the 980 Ti's and the Titan X, as well as some other cards which are sitting at 1 gigahertz or 1000 megahertz base clock with a boost clock of 1075. So 1075 megahertz on those cards. So this is a big difference. And the card that NVIDIA showed off was overclocked to 2.1 gigahertz or 2100 megahertz. Now, I don't know what is more incredible about that, the fact that they overclocked the card so much, or the fact that it was still only at 67 degrees Celsius, which still leaves room for overclocking more if you want, or you can put it there theoretically and be pretty well stable and not have to worry about it, crashing or overheating or anything like that. And that card was also air-cooled with a stock cooler. It was not, water-cooled or nitrogen-cooled or some shit. It was literally just air-cooled with a stock cooler on it, which is very, very impressive. Moving on, the new card will feature 2,560 CUDA cores. With all things equal, more CUDA cores equals better performance, generally speaking, at least in a perfect world that is. Also, the new card is going to have a 256-bit bus, which in and of itself, that one stat has led people to believe there will be a 1080 Ti, which I don't doubt. I think that because NVIDIA had claimed that they have spent several $1 billion developing this card and architecture over the last couple years, I don't see why not. That's another avenue of revenue. I didn't mean to rhyme that. Holy shit, I should be a rapper. But no, so that is another avenue for them to make money, which, they have to do. They have to make a lot of money on this, otherwise it's not really worth it. Also, the memory is clocked at 2500 megahertz, as I said before, which gives an effective clock speed of 10 gigahertz. That in and of itself is another crazy stat this card possesses. Oh boy, am I excited for this thing. Now that we got all that crap out of the way, let's move on to cost. The 1080 is going to be hitting the market at $599 on May 27th, and optionally you can get that founder spec card for another $100 at $699. Both of these I think are really good deals considering you're going to be killing Titans and twin 980s with it. Can't really beat that. The founder spec, which I did mention before, is basically just going to allow you to overclock better and have more headroom for it. So if you're looking to overclock your card and you're going to water cool it or whatever, that's definitely the way to go. Now the 1070 is also going to be hitting the market, though it's going to be hitting the market on June 10th, so a couple weeks after the 1080. However, you're going to be paying $399 for that, and if you want the founder spec, which offers the same overclocking headroom capabilities, you're going to be paying an extra $50 at $449. Again, a very, very good deal considering this card will also beat a Titan X. So we've heard a lot about how good this card is, but how good is it really? Well, the honest answer is we don't know quite yet. We don't have any real benchmarks to go off of to determine how much better it really is than a Titan X, 980 Ti, 980 in two-way SLI, whatever. Now, NVIDIA has generally been pretty honest about what their cards can do, and based on what they have shown us, this card does look very, very promising. Now, a couple YouTubers, namely Jay's2Cents, who is an awesome dude, and go ahead and check him out, he has a lot of cool stuff, has already got his hands on one, and we'll be doing a review very, very shortly, and benchmarking the card as well. But until that happens, all we can go off of is what NVIDIA says, which is you can double the performance of a Titan X in VR circumstances with a 1080. You can overpower two 980s in two-way SLI, and that's just kind of it at this point. They did demo the game at, well, actually on their Twitter page, they have a demo of them playing Doom at high resolution at ultra settings. I don't know what high is. It might be 4K. It might be, I don't know. It might just be 1080p, honestly. But regardless, though, of what the resolution is, they're still gaming in a brand new game on a brand new graphics card and running about 200 frames per second max with an average roughly in the 130s. Just not like an actual average, but just based on what I saw, kind of hanging around the 130s, 140s a lot. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy as always. Now, as soon as we get some hard data about this card, whether it's from another YouTuber or a reputable website, I will take those benchmarks and put them in a video for you guys to be able to see so that you can understand how good this card really is in the real world against its competitors. But until then, guys, I'm going to be searching like a mouse for cheese trying to find some legitimate statistics about this card, and I hope you guys have a great night. I will catch you guys in the future.